The annoying employee, or so I thought. I'll never forget the day Mark walked into the office. It was a cloudy Monday morning, the kind where everyone drags themselves in with a coffee the size of their head and a face that screams, "Why are we here?" I was already settled at my desk when he came through the door, clutching a file folder and wearing a bright blue tie that looked like it belonged at a birthday party, not a workplace. "Good morning, everyone," he said, far too cheerfully for 8:30 a.m. I remember how heads turned, eyebrows lifted, and a couple of muffled groans escaped from my coworkers. Nobody liked enthusiasm that early, especially not the type that sounded rehearsed. I'll admit it, I rolled my eyes too. At the time, I was a mid level supervisor, not quite management, not just another cog in the machine. Enough responsibility to carry weight, but not enough authority to make final calls, which meant that when new employees joined, I was often the one stuck showing them the ropes. And so, by sheer luck or bad fortune, depending on how you look at it, Mark landed under my wing. From the start, he seemed annoying. He asked questions, a lot of questions. Not just the necessary kind, like where's the break room or what's the login for the internal system, but endless ones like why do we file this way? Or wouldn't it be faster if we grouped these differently? In theory, curiosity is good, but when you're drowning in work and someone is hovering over your shoulder with what if scenarios every 10 minutes, it grates. Worse, he was always upbeat, always smiling, always trying to crack jokes that fell flat. During meetings, he spoke up more than he should, offering suggestions when it wasn't his turn. Some people found it bold. I found it disruptive. After his first week, I vented in the break room to my colleague Jenna. "He's too much," I muttered while pouring myself another cup of bitter coffee. "Like a golden retriever on espresso. Doesn't stop, doesn't shut up." She smirked. "Newbies burn out fast. Give him a month." But a month passed, then another. And if anything, Mark's energy only ramped up. He'd stay late finishing work, then come in the next morning bright eyed. He volunteered for projects people tried to avoid. He covered shifts when others called out. Somehow, that only made him more annoying. The office was a place of quiet politics. People had their cliques, their alliances, their whispered complaints. It didn't take long for a nickname to form around Mark, the teacher's pet. He didn't even notice, or if he didn't care. Management started praising him in weekly meetings. Thanks to Mark, we were able to streamline this process. Mark's been really taking initiative. Great work from Mark this quarter. Every time his name came up, I could feel resentment simmering in the room. He wasn't just outshining others, he was making the rest of us look lazy in comparison. One afternoon, I overheard two coworkers whispering near the copier. "Bet he's just trying to kiss up. No one works that hard for free." Exactly. Guys either faking it or trying to make the rest of us look bad. I didn't disagree. The turning point came when my manager, Daniel, called me into his office. He leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "You've been supervising Mark, right?" "Yes," I said cautiously. "What do you think of him?" The question caught me off guard. For weeks, I'd been biting my tongue, trying not to sound petty. But now he was asking directly. "He's eager," I said carefully. "Maybe a little too eager. Talks a lot, sometimes interrupts. He's hardworking. I'll give him that, but it can be disruptive." Daniel nodded slowly, as though weighing my words. "Interesting. Others have mentioned similar things, but his output is undeniable. His projects are done faster than anyone else's, and the quality is high." "So what's the problem?" I asked. "Well," Daniel said, "some of the team feel overshadowed. Morale is tricky. When one person pushes so hard, it sets a bar the rest can't or won't meet. You've noticed the tension." I had, but I wasn't expecting what came next. "I want you to keep an eye on him," Daniel said. "Make sure he doesn't overstep. We need balance." I walked out of the office with mixed feelings. On one hand, I felt validated. Management saw the disruption too. On the other, I realized I'd just been tasked with monitoring the most energetic worker we had. It felt like babysitting a hurricane. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Mark continued to shine. He presented ideas during meetings that actually got implemented. His reports were so thorough that even upper management commented on them. He seemed unstoppable. And the rest of the team? They started pushing back. Subtly at first, leaving him out of group chats, making sarcastic remarks. Then more openly. "Slow down, Mark. You're making us look bad." Not everyone wants to live at the office, you know. Careful, teacher's pet, you'll burn out. I expected him to bristle, to finally snap back, but he never did. He just smiled, laughed awkwardly, and kept working. Privately, I started wondering, was I wrong about him? Then came the rumor. Someone, I never found out who, spread the idea that Mark wasn't just working hard for personal pride. He had an angle. He's gunning for your position, Jenna whispered to me one day. Think about it. Supervisors get better pay, more say. If he keeps impressing Daniel, what's stopping him from replacing you? I laughed it off, but the seed was planted. Every compliment Mark got felt like a threat. Every late night he pulled looked like ambition sharpening its teeth. I caught myself comparing my own output to his and finding it lacking. I told myself he was manipulative. I told myself he was pretending to be nice while scheming underneath. And eventually, I snapped. The quarterly review was coming up, a stressful time when everyone's work got evaluated. I figured if there was ever a moment to put Mark in his place, that was it. So I devised a plan. I gave him an assignment, a complicated, tedious one involving an outdated system nobody liked using. It's important, I told him. Management needs these numbers clean. In reality, it was busy work, and I knew it was riddled with potential pitfalls. If he rushed, he'd make mistakes. If he obsessed, he'd run out of time for his other tasks. Either way, he'd stumble. Or so I thought. 2 days before the deadline, I checked in. "How's it going?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He beamed. "Almost done. It was messy at first, but I wrote a script to clean up the data, way faster than manual input. I can show you if you'd like." I blinked. "You wrote a script?" "Yeah," he said, shrugging like it was nothing. "Figured I'd save us headaches down the line. It works on similar reports too. Could cut processing time by half." My trap had turned into a gift. Not only had he finished early, he'd improved the process itself. And when review day came, Daniel showcased Mark's work to the entire department. "This is innovation," he said proudly. "Exactly the kind of forward thinking we need." The room applauded. My chest burned. It was in that moment I realized I wasn't dealing with an annoying employee. I was dealing with the best one we had, and my resentment had blinded me. But here's the thing about gossip, jealousy, and pettiness. They can destroy someone unfairly, or, if used carefully, they can destroy the people who wield them. Because while I had been trying to trip him up, others had been doing worse, sabotaging his work, excluding him from communication, mocking him behind his back. And now that management adored him, all I had to do was let the truth surface. So I started collecting evidence, screenshots of group chats where people ridiculed him, copies of emails where they forgot to include him on crucial info, notes of whispered insults I overheard. Then I casually began pointing out in meetings how often Mark succeeded despite lacking support. He really turned that project around, even though he wasn't given the same data we had. Impressive how he stayed late to fix errors others left behind. I wasn't lying. I was just highlighting. Slowly, management connected the dots, and when the next round of promotions came, the announcement shocked everyone. "Mark will be stepping into a leadership role," Daniel declared. "His dedication, innovation, and resilience under pressure have been outstanding." Gasps, glares, silence, then applause. The very people who mocked him had to clap for him. And me? I stayed where I was, still a supervisor, but now reporting to him. You might think that's where the revenge ends. But it wasn't Mark's revenge. It was mine. Because in that moment, I realized I had two choices: keep resenting him and sink, or swallow my pride and rise with him. So I congratulated him sincerely. I apologized for being hard on him in the beginning. And unlike the others, I meant it. He smiled, the same bright, unshakable smile he'd worn since day one. "Thanks. I know I was probably a bit much when I started." "A bit," I admitted, laughing. But the truth? His annoying traits had saved the department. His persistence, his energy, his refusal to back down. And watching the people who had tried to tear him down now scramble to win his approval, well, that was the sweetest revenge of all. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's proving them wrong and letting their own bitterness eat them alive. Like and subscribe. Share if this happened to you or someone you know.